What's up folks, it's Jang here from UltimateRC.com, and this is my review of the Traxxas E-MAXX Brushed Edition. I gotta tell you, it feels a little bit funny reviewing this thing here in 2012 when I had two of these back in 2001. Over the years, the E-MAXX has managed to retain basically its same overall look from the outside, but a whole host of small incremental changes and updates have been made. It's longer and wider than the original, but thankfully it still remains a true monster truck in roughly 1/10 scale, with lots of plush suspension travel. Let's take a look under the body shell. You'll see many things in twos here. For instance, the good old 21-turn 550-sized Titan brushed motors. No more 2-speed transmission though, now it's just a single one. There are two steering servos, one on either side, both of them waterproof, and they're mechanically linked underneath. Between them is the waterproof receiver case. The truck also has two battery trays, one on either side, and each one comes pre-filled with one of these 3000 mAh 7-cell nickel metal hydride battery packs. They're wired together in series and feed their power into this EVX2 waterproof brushed-only speed controller. Each corner of the truck is suspended by two oil-filled plastic-bodied shocks. That's 8 shocks in total. You have multiple mounting points available both on the arms as well as on the shock towers, and the pillow ball style hubs allow you to change both your camber and caster. The latter is adjusted by moving spacers on the upper A-arm to allow it to slide forward or reverse. The truck also has turnbuckles to allow you to adjust your toe angle both front and rear. Here's a quick look from the underside. The main chassis is actually elevated quite a bit, but the transmission sticks down a little bit from there. The lowest points under the truck are the front and rear diffs, and there are 3 skid plates, front, rear, and center. While we're under here, take a look at those drive shafts. They're absolutely huge, but still plastic. We'll have to see how well they hold up. The Brushed Edition E-MAXX comes with the Traxxas Link 2.4 GHz radio set. This one looks pretty basic in features on the surface, but it does have these 2 little red buttons down at the bottom that allow you to go through a whole menu system. The menu options allow you to change things like steering exponential and endpoints, so that you don't have to lug your whole manual around everywhere. They give you this cheat sheet that's conveniently kept in the battery compartment. It's a flowchart that'll take you through all the options. And we're off and running. The original E-MAXX was set up to run off of 2 6-cell nickel metal hydrides, or back then even nickel cadmium packs. This one's on 2 7-cells. That gives the modern version a lot more kick, but it is still running on brushed motors. On flat ground, it tops out at about 25 miles per hour with the stock gearing. Now that number doesn't sound very impressive compared to the brushless monsters that are available nowadays that cost almost twice as much, but there is enough speed here that plenty of folks will enjoy. Equally important, it handles its speed well. If you throw it into a turn too hot, most of the times it'll either just drift or spin out. It won't roll over. The suspension continues to perform well if you move out to rougher terrain. The softness and ample travel allows it to really soak up the bumps. Even though the center of gravity is pretty high on this truck, it's wide enough that it still doesn't roll over very much over the rough stuff. The one thing that I don't like about how it handles out here is the way it squats down in the back when it's on power. Not only does that look kind of weird, but it puts that rear skid plate really low to the ground and it ends up scraping quite a lot. You can combat that squat a little bit by adding preload spacers to the rear shocks only. Here's a place the E-MAXX really shouldn't be at home, out on a 1/8 scale hard-packed race track. Believe it or not, we actually did used to race these things, and they actually did okay, with a lot of mods. Nowadays, there's just no class for these. You know what though? All things considered, the E-MAXX did pretty well out here on this track. It's not super fast or super agile, but it's very smooth and consistent. Its flight through the air is especially nice and very controllable. The soft suspension gives it a lot of chassis roll. When you push it hard enough in turns, you'll find yourself on 3 wheels quite frequently. That's actually partly testament to the tires though. I had very low expectations for the traction level of these tires, especially with that very plain old school chevron design. But these are the best old school chevrons I've ever run. They weren't too loose out on the loose dirt and gravel, but they're hooking up pretty well on this hard pack. Kudos to Traxxas for that. When it comes to the softness of the suspension, I'm happy to report that there's something you can do to fix that without spending any money. Remember the multiple shock mount options I mentioned earlier? Well, here's the same truck with the exact same setup except for the lower mounting points on the shocks moved outward on the A-arms all the way around. That's 8 screws removed and reassembled into different holes. That had several effects. First of all, it immediately dropped the ride height of the whole truck. It also reduced leverage on the shocks, which effectively increased the shock dampening rate, or the shock absorption, and the spring rate. It also reduced the droop or down travel of the suspension. That has a little bit of an anti-roll effect. 8 screws moved made this a much racier truck. Lower, stiffer, faster reacting. This helped it to hold a lot more speed through the turns. Okay, so we've seen it on a track, we've seen it jumping, we've seen it on rough terrain, we've seen it on pretty flat terrain. The driving characteristics are respectable, but is it durable? That was not a dramatic edit for effect. That was literally my very first durability test intentional crash. Shock tower busted, 2 shocks bent. I rebuilt the shocks with hardened shafts and got an RPM rear tower. So let's try this again. Carnage report. I'll start with the little stuff. Rear body pins, destroyed. Well, one of them's just gone. Rear skid plate, broken right off. Plastic piece, just couldn't handle it. Front lower suspension pin, sheared off inside of the bulkhead. That's not good. But for the coup de grace, entire back end of the entire truck broken off. Believe it or not, this didn't surprise me at all. The original E-MAXX and T-MAXX suffered from bulkheads breaking all the time. They also suffered from skid plates breaking all the time. They also suffered from shock towers breaking all the time. Some things never change.
Oh well.
So, E-MAXX. Nice truck and all. Handles pretty well right out of the box. You can make it better for free. Decent speed, pretty versatile. And it holds itself together pretty well if you drive it nicely. To be honest, this is actually way more durable than the original E-MAXX ever was, by a long shot. But that ain't saying much. Now all things have a breaking point, but my durability test for this truck didn't include full speed runs into any walls, nor any skateboard park kicker ramps landing on flat concrete. Nothing excessively crazy, just the type of stuff that I would expect a vehicle like this, designed for newcomers and bashers, to be able to handle without breaking in two. An A-arm or knuckle breaking I could have lived with, but this E-MAXX suffered too much carnage. I can't even imagine what the brushless version would do. Break when you plug the batteries in? As it is, I just can't recommend this truck. However, since I have it now, I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of extra time and see what needs to be done to maybe make this into an actual durable runner, hopefully without replacing everything with aluminum and titanium. I'll document that effort in separate videos, but for now, this review is over. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that was useful information for you. If you want to see more raw driving videos of this thing with minimal editing, those are up on my channel. Please make sure you're subscribed to the Ultimate RC Network channel on YouTube if you want to see more reviews and other good stuff about RCs. And take a fraction of a second to help me out by hitting either like or thumbs down on the video. The choice is yours. Either way is appreciated. Catch you later.